This is a date that comes along only once every 4 years. It's a leap year, y'all, and that leap is made on February 29th. The reason it exists is because a year isn't exactly 365 days. It's about 365 and a quarter days long. 4 quarters every 4 years equals 1 leap day. Okay, but who decided on that? Blame the Romans. As far back as the year 46 BC, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, they were fiddling with the calendar, trying to make it line up with the seasons. This went on for hundreds of years, and by the 16th century AD, the Gregorian calendar was established. That's the one we still use today. Of course, people born on February 29th can only celebrate on their birth date once every 4 years, which is why they're so much younger. Okay, fake news, but they're not alone. Pope Paul III, Austrian dancer Eva Marie Feigl, Italian composer Rossini, just a few of the historic figures born on this date. Hi, I'm Carl Azuz for The World from A to Z. Leap years also happen to be when there's a presidential election in the United States, and both the incumbent Democratic president and his top Republican challenger are in the news this Thursday. They're scheduled to be in Texas, visiting separate cities on the U.S. border with Mexico. According to a new poll from the Gallup Analytics organization, 28% of Americans say the biggest problem facing the U.S. is immigration. That makes it their most commonly cited problem, ahead of government, the economy, inflation, and poverty, and it's the first time in 5 years that immigration topped the list. President Joe Biden is set to meet with local leaders in Brownsville, Texas, and to push for Congress to pass new immigration laws that include an increase in Border Patrol agents and more workers to help process those who cross into the United States. But the president's critics say the Biden administration could and should change its policies to stem the tide of people entering the U.S. illegally. Those numbers have set new records in each of the last 3 years. Former President Donald Trump, who's leading in the race for the Republican presidential nomination, is also set to visit Texas Thursday. He's scheduled to speak in the city of Eagle Pass and is expected to say the Biden administration can't handle the problem of immigration. But former President Trump also received criticism for his immigration and border policies when he was in office. These are complicated and highly partisan issues in America, and how voters feel about them this fall could have a significant impact on the election. From Texas to the moon, when a private U.S. company named Intuitive Machines tried to make a soft landing of its spacecraft there last Thursday, we told you the lander had reached the moon and was transmitting information. However,
we thought we were upright, and the reason was that the tanks were reading, this is the X direction, and the tanks were reading gravity on the moon. At the fill levels, there were still residuals in the tank, and we saw those measurements in the X direction. Well, that was stale telemetry, so when we worked through the night to get other telemetry down, we noticed that in the Z direction, this direction, is where we're seeing the residual tank quantities.
So what does that mean? Couple things. 1, Odysseus, the name of the lander, is reportedly sideways. Scientists believe a leg got caught during the landing and caused it to tip over, pointing its antennas and solar arrays in the wrong direction. That meant its battery couldn't charge properly and would drain out days earlier than planned. Odysseus was built and launched with a $118 million payment from NASA. It was the first U.S. spacecraft to land on the moon since 1972, and it was able to send back pictures and some scientific data before it went dark.
World of knowledge. Which of these places is known as the land of silver? Nevada, Poland, Nile Basin, Argentina. Nevada may be the silver state, but what's known as the land of silver, and whose name comes from the Latin word argentum, is Argentina.
Clouds of mosquitoes descended on parts of Argentina this week. Recent rainfall in the region is believed to have triggered a mass hatching of the insects, and they're swarming and dying by the thousands.
Buenos Aires, Argentina is covered in mosquitoes. Social media videos posted the past few days show how areas have been swarmed by the Aedes albifasciatus, known as the flood mosquito for its association with heavy rains. Despite these shocking images, the phenomenon is common and usually occurs every 2 or 3 years depending on climatic and environmental conditions. However, being bitten by the flood mosquito does carry a risk of catching something called Western equine encephalomyelitis. The WEE virus can lead to severe forms of aseptic meningitis and encephalitis, according to the World Health Organization.
On this date in world history. As stated, a leap year comes along only once every 4 years, but a pair of long-standing wartime events both ended on February 29th. Bosnian Serb forces withdrew from Sarajevo in 1996. That ended their 1,425-day siege, the longest of any capital city in the history of modern warfare. Sarajevo is in the nation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the siege was part of a war that broke out after that nation declared independence from what was once Yugoslavia. On this date in 2020, the US and the Taliban, an Afghan Muslim fundamentalist group, signed the Doha Agreement. That signaled the end of the nearly 20-year war in Afghanistan, the longest war in US history. The Taliban seized control of the Middle Eastern nation as American forces started to withdraw in 2021. And Hattie McDaniel made history on this date in 1940, becoming the first African-American ever to win an Academy Award. She won Best Supporting Actress for her portrayal of an enslaved maid named Mammy in Gone with the Wind. McDaniel was also the first black actor ever to get her own postage stamp. That was released in 2006. In news reports about things connected to the internet, the cons you hear often include references to privacy and security concerns, which might sound kind of vague. Occasionally, a critic might ask, what happens if it's hacked? Well, companies like Ring Video Doorbell and Wyze Labs have reported security breaches with their smart cameras in the past. A recent issue with these devices is both a clear example of why critics have been concerned and what kind of action companies can take in response.
Smart camera maker Wyze is blaming a technical glitch for a security issue that allowed about 13,000 customers to see images and video from inside other people's homes last week.
I work in this space, so I'm not all that surprised.
Wyze says customers saw thumbnails from other users' homes in the company's app. 1,500 of them tapped to enlarge the thumbnails, allowing some customers to watch footage from other people's cameras. Rob Gabriel, a home security expert for safehome.org, says while it may be convenient to access wireless security cameras remotely through our devices, that ease and comfort comes with a cost.
Our privacy risk is almost like a tax that we pay for the convenience of being connected to the internet and, the Internet of Things.
Gabriel says companies have the responsibility to make sure they keep improving their security protocols. There are also simple steps you can take to minimize your risk. First, check the company's track record. Second, only put cameras in living rooms, hallways, and near doors, not in bathrooms or bedrooms. Gabriel also recommends cameras with privacy shutters.
It's an actual physical shutter that you can hear click on and off so that the camera is not viewing you when you don't want it to be.
Wyze says more than 99.75% of all accounts were unaffected by the security issue. And the company says it has added a new layer of verification before users can see thumbnails and videos to prevent this from happening again. I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
A sunny greeting goes out to the Sunshine State today. We're giving a warm welcome to Mrs. Brennan's class. Crestview High School is watching from Crestview, Florida. And when it comes to visiting Oklahoma, the sooner the better. Mrs. Wakefield's class is here from the Sooner State. Hello to Ketchum High School in Ketchum. A dog in Michigan was riding along with her owner recently when they got into an accident. Everyone was okay, but the 3-year-old dog named Aries was so scared that she jumped out of the car's window and took off. Aries ran a mile away to the best place she could think of, Houndstown, which calls itself home to the happiest dogs on earth. It's a doggy daycare where Aries is a regular visitor. Workers there recognized the animal, called her owner, found out what happened, and cared for her until she could be picked up. But why would Aries want to run away like she had the wings of Pegasus? Well, she is a serious dog star, and apparently she had a Canis Major need to Libra the scene instead of help pick up the Pisces to Virgo, Cephas, her friends, and Telescopium all about it. I'm Carl Azuz, making constellations of puns on the world from A to Z. We hope you'll come stargazing with us again tomorrow. You mean the world to me.